Hi everyone, and welcome to our September newsletter. So our newsletter this month is all about colour. Colour can be used successfully in many ways, and generally when designing a retirement or aged care facility, especially dementia and mental health, we tend to focus on psychology of colour. Colour has become prominent focus in design, both from too much and too little. And in fact, in the latest Architecture and Design magazine, there is an article that talks about bolder colours that help boost the morale of residents. Now, that may or may not be true, and we need to be careful about the statements we make, as you cannot look at colour in isolation, and there is so much more involved. So the subject of colour is not simple and is enormous, but today I'd like to talk about how colour fits within the strategy of wayfinding. Now, whilst visiting many facilities, I have observed that the main wayfinding strategy that's been implemented is colour. For example, painting each resident bedroom door a different colour. Does this work, or does it make it more confusing? When introducing a wayfinding strategy, whilst colour can certainly assist, it should not be the main focus of wayfinding. It is just one tool in your toolbox. And I think the best way to explain what I mean is to think about what the very clever wayfinding designers have done in high-rise car parks. How many of you have forgotten where you've parked your car? I know I certainly have. Generally, the most successful car parks incorporate a number of strategies, and that includes colour, number and symbol. So the colour, for instance, may be blue, it might be level 2, and the symbol may be a koala. Now, I hazard a guess that the majority of you would remember the koala and not necessarily the colour or the number. However, what makes it strong is the combination of all of those elements, because someone may remember the colour or the number and not the symbol. Now, obviously, we're talking about residential aged care here and retirement, and having symbols of koalas, fish and kangaroos doesn't really make the environment feel very domestic. So when designing an environment, of course you want it to look beautiful, comfortable and familiar, but it also needs to be understandable and easy to navigate. Carefully applied colour not only provides wayfinding assistance, but can also be fully integrated into the aesthetic vision of the facility. When planning or improving a wayfinding system, there are a number of principles worth considering. So number 1, wayfinding strategies need to be varied. Don't use colour as your only strategy, as not one strategy fits all. Remember, there are many different people living in the environment. For example, I particularly love the colour red and will be attracted to that colour, but it may have absolutely no meaning to someone else. In fact, it could even have a very adverse effect or meaning to somebody. Number 2, wayfinding should form part of your interiors. For example, in a high-rise retirement, what do I see when I come out of the lift? Do I live on this particular floor? There was a really interesting study completed in a high-rise retirement village where a number of residents had mild cognitive impairment. Each of the floors were designed exactly the same. They had the same carpet, they had the same feature lighting, they had the same paint colour, the same piece of furniture, the same artwork and the same accessories. Everything was identical. Now, one of the participants found the only way she could find her floor was to use the stairs and count the number of steps until she reached her floor. Now, that's okay for someone who lives on perhaps level 1 or 3, but certainly not for someone who lives on level 12. Number 3, is it easily recognisable? My bedroom corridor has X. That's where I live and therefore is different to the other corridor. Don't have the same artwork everywhere and vary the type of art. One corridor, for instance, may have a painting and the other may start with a plant or an object. Now, once a resident has found their corridor, there is another strategy to help them find their own room. However, I will need to leave that conversation for another time. Number 4, does the wayfinding strategy suit people of varying abilities? For example, someone with poor eyesight, can they easily identify the object from a distance? A small piece of art may not be easily seen, or the resident may lose the ability to see particular colours, or the colour may just not contrast and stand out. Number 5, Lighting forms part of wayfinding. Is your lighting adequate? Can the resident easily see and find their way around? The particular type of lighting can also form part of your wayfinding strategy. So for instance, does each of the corridors have a different theme, a different wall sconce, or do they use pendant lights? And number 6, limit the amount of signage used within a facility. Remember, this is a home, not a hospital. Now, new buildings shouldn't need too much signage, as finding your way around should be incorporated into the original design of the building. But unfortunately, older buildings may not have that luxury, and therefore signage quite often is unavoidable. You're probably gathering by now that wayfinding is really a very specialised area and not straightforward, and you're absolutely correct. Now, I'd be really happy to do some segments on colour and or wayfinding. Just let me know if this is something you're interested in, and I'll put together a series for you. So also thank you to everyone that sent in questions from Kirsty's interesting talk last month. We'll definitely get back to everyone when we interview Kirsty in the next session. So have a great October, everyone, and I look forward to chatting to you all again very soon. So bye for now.